this make the elite ranks of our 60-point scale? Find out today on the Culture of Currency. Welcome back to the caravan of coins that is the Culture of Currency. Please remember to like and subscribe so that we can together begin phase 2 of this channel, where you, the viewer, will have the ability to win medals monthly. I also wanted to let each of you know that I now have a post office box, so if that's information you would like, please email me at cultureofcurrency@gmail.com. Today we tackle a coin hailing from the Cook Islands. Before we get to this coin, however, we need to dip our toes in the pool of history and the culture of the Cook Islands so that we can see how relevant the artwork is to the nation in which this coin hails. Before we can even do that, we need to find the Cook Islands. Here is a rendering you can see on a map. As you can see, it is the same general area that many of our awesome coins from the Pacific come from. This area is so remote, however, that when I was looking what it would take to travel to the Cook Islands, the only path I found would be to fly into New Zealand and take the one flight per week that travels to this island. The birth of the islands in terms of human habitation is thought to be around 1000 AD by Polynesian explorers. For the island's birth, science followers would find that these chains were created due to volcanic activity in the area. For those who don't know who the ancient Polynesian people are, they are known as some of the best oceanic navigators of all time. In the late 1500s, a Spanish explorer is said to have found the island of Puka Puka, which is just fun to say, and is also known as Danger Island, which is even cooler than Puka Puka. It wasn't until almost 200 years later that we have a record of another European in the area. James Cook was a captain in the Royal Navy and an experienced cartographer. He visited the islands twice in the late 1700s, and it is my estimation that he mapped their locations because these islands were eventually called the Cook Islands after later navigational charts and maps were found to have referenced Cook's Islands cartography on the maps of these areas. In 1813, the first attempt to colonize was made, which led to fighting and large casualties on both sides, which left the island from being colonized until 1821, when a religious mission was established that led to the conversion of most of the natives. These islands then served as a great restocking station for passing through whaling vessels. Think of a tropical 7-Eleven. As time and technology passed, words of the colonization and wars of Europe and the Americas reached the Cook Islands. In an effort to be proactive and avoid the conflict of the French trying to take the Cook Islands as they had in the Caribbean and their closer neighbor Tahiti, the Cook Islands did something rare. They sought to find refuge under the British flag by aligning their allegiance to the monarchy and asked to be annexed into British territory. This was granted in 1900, and the Cook Islands became an extension of the colony of New Zealand. World War I was soon to come. The Cook Islanders, having gained protection from Britain, eagerly stepped forward to defend the Allied forces. They were trained in military combat and shipped mostly to North Africa and the Middle East, but there are some records of Maori in the European theater. It is my estimation that in the aftermath of the First World War, the willingness to defend all entities of British domain led to legislation where all of the Cook Islanders of British subjugation were given complementary citizenship of the New Zealand colony. When we look at these islands today, we see by this chart that the economy is vastly derived in the markets of fishing. More on that in a second. We should also take note here that the center of this chart of exports, we see 1.5% of their economy is in coins. So picking up one of these coins is most beneficial to their economy. Now back to fishing. This geographic location makes the Cook Islands an amazing place for high-quality fish, but there's a catch. With the Western culture's expansion and the demand of high-quality fish, this nation has fallen into one of the worst declines in health in the world. These are a people who had a diet of fresh fish and local fruits and veggies for a very long time. When the infrastructure of Western products hit their shelves, a couple of things happened. Fishermen would bring their bounty, and they could make enough to pay for multiple meals for their family derived in Western products. Why would they take some of their fish home to eat when they can sell all of it and make way more money buying Western products like starchy breads, canned meats, canned veggies, and soda? This in one generation made the Cook Islands and many other island nations that have Western products addicted to heavily nutrient-poor foods. One generation is all it took to make these islands and others like it have the highest obesity and diabetes rates in the world. Overall, having looked at the main islands of this nation, I have seen many cool reasons to put this area into considering visiting in the event that I'm ever needing a Pacific Island vacation. Now that we have assessed this nation, let's get to this coin. When we look at the front of this coin, we see an awesome background that carries to the back of this coin. Of course, we see the Queen in a less seasoned appearance than a current depiction would bring. What I love is the contrast and shade between dark tones and light. Contrast is something that I think is needed in any fantastic coin. Contrast between dark and light textures, elevations, voids versus art are all things that really help balance a coin. I think this is a fantastic front in spite of the Queen, so I give it a 7. Now for the back, we have the beautiful HMS Bounty in full sailing regalia. If we look close, we see that there are no sailors aboard, which is accurate seeing as this ship sank a long time ago. There are actually replicas of this boat that were made using the same schematics as the original. The boat is very well done and set upon a mesmerizing background that traps my gaze. Sometimes I look at this coin for what feels to be 30 seconds, and yet my watch says it has been 4 days. Jokes aside, it's a fantastic and unique design. I think it is a solid 9 out of 10. Sailing on to mintage, we find ourselves in the Bermuda Triangle as east is west and left is right. There is no mintage amount I could find for this coin, and so it should be fitting to score an obligatory 5 out of 10. It is my hope in time we come to see that there were 30,000 or less of these minted, but I'm not sure where the direction of mintage will bring us. We are now met at the banks of cultural significance. This is a bit of a quandary. We have a nation that at any given point has seemed to have begged to be under British status, so the Queen has a slightly more bit of relevance than a standard coin with a Queen on it. The HMS Bounty is a ship that you can see by this navigational chart as the main ship to kind of supply and navigate this and other islands for a period of time. We do not get any details of the land, the people, the culture. Colonialism is an understandable part of history, but it's not like the British landed on an island that had no previous tenants. It would have been really cool to have seen a little blend of colonialism and the natural native world, so I scored a 7. Now for collectability. This is a nautical themed coin which always seems to have a more than average desirability. I am not sure if it has a connection with the past and romanticizing sunken treasure or where the genesis lies, but rest assured that it is a beautiful coin that I believe has a rather higher than average appeal, and it scores a 7. Our last area is uniqueness. We have seen boats before on coins. This is a particular boat with a particular background that carries from obverse to reverse of the coin. The Queen is a dime a dozen, as we all know, but it is refreshing how the background plays on both sides. It should also be of note that this is a new coin in what looks to be a series that has very little change. When I look at a 2020 version versus a 22 version, it seems like the ships may be mirrored more in one than another, but there's little to no difference overall, so that has a little detraction. It scores a 7 for me here as well. This brings our total to a respectable but not overwhelming 42 out of 60. My final thoughts on this coin are that it is worth a pickup if you are a collector of nautical coins, have an affinity for world silver as I do, or just have a good steal available. I do not think a casual stacker should really spend a whole lot on this coin because of now we have little information on mintage to bring this silver to be any more value than the weight. It is a beautiful coin and worth it for me, but I understand if it's not for everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I wanted to remind you that I do have a P.O. box, so please contact me via email if you are wanting that information. And remember to always stay classy and current with the culture of currency.